So now we're on Daf Lamed Tesamid Beis. Ikvei Nimhon. Okay, the bottom part of the hair where it connects to the goof. Shmamina. We see from this reality, this description, that the Seir Militachas Ravi, that it grows from the bottom, from the place where it attaches to the head. And the new hair that grows in that place is not painted, it's not black, so therefore becomes white. So it's like in that place the seva is removed. But if we would say that the seir grows not from the chelak hatachton but milamala, then hoyamalbim hachelak hamaruchat min haguf. Not the roots would turn white, but the ends of the hairs would turn white. Shma Minah, and the Gemara accepts this proof that the seir is gadol milamata. Wait 1 second. The Gemara just said, Shma Minah milatachas ravi. Oh yeah, milatachas means milamata means close to the scalp. So therefore, if we go back to the case where the Nazir got his hair chopped off by the listim, but they left the hair that's close to his head. And now we've proven with a final proof that the seir is gadol milamata, then the Nazir is chayav listar hakol, because the listim cut off that hair that was there at the time of his gidul seir. At the time of his kabbalas nazirus. So Gemara asks the following kasha: ve'elah hadesanya. But yet we learned in the Brisa Nazir shegilchu listim v'shiru bo k'dei lachu frosho leikro eino soser. That even though they cut most of his hair off, but they left enough hair near the roots such that you could fold it over, that's not soser. V'isal k'daita milatachas ravi, that milamata hu gadel, then listar. It should be soser's nazirus, because the listim cut off the hair that was on his body at the time that he was makabel his nazirus. And the Gemara answers that the Bryce is talking about a case of kigon shegilchu achar malos. They cut off his hair after the 30th day of his nazirus, before he did the actual giluach and he brought his karbonos. Umani, and whose opinion is reflected in this brisa, that even though the giluach took place after 30 days, it's enos soser. Rabbi Lezer the Omar, and he's quoted the Mishnah back on Daf Tezayin, kol achas mulos shiva soser. When a Nazir is contaminated to the dead body, after his days of Nazirus are complete, he doesn't have to be soser all his Nazirus, like a Nazir shenitma v'toch yemei Nazirus. Here it was after the Ashlam yemei Nazirus. So therefore he simply has to wait 7 days and he's mitayr himself. So according to the Shita of Rabbi Eliezer, we should say that the same logic should apply to a Nazir that had his hair cut off after the Malos, after the 30 days of Kiyama Nazirus. And lo yamtin shloshim yom el shiva yomin. He only needs 7 days. And then he could be Mekayim the mitzvah of Giluach. Again, this thing that he has to wait, that will only l'chora apply if they cut it down to the roots. But if they left certain seir, which is enough kidei lachuf, then he doesn't have to wait at all. He could just do his giluach immediately. My time at Rabbi Eliezer. Why does Rabbi Eliezer hold that if there was giluach after the Melos Yimei Nazirus, then all he needs is 7 days until he could be Makayim the mitzvah of giluach? Why doesn't he have to wait 30 days, which is the minimum shear of Nazirus, so that he could be Makayim the mitzvah of giluach at the end of the 30 days? And the Gemara clarifies the source of Rabbi Eliezer. Yolif tiglachas tahora with mitiglachas tuma. Ma tiglachas tuma. Shiva af tiglachas tara shiva. V'kim lehu l'rabanan kol shiva yomin asya mazye k'dei l'chuf rosho l'ikro. So we have here an equation, almost an analogy between Tiglachas Tara, which means that he did not contaminate himself during his period of Nazirus, but rather he took a haircut, or the listim cut off his hair. So it has nothing to do with Tum V'Tara. Now we have the case of Tiglachas Tuma and Tiglachas Tara. Yizma Tiglachas Tuma Shiva. So the steer of his Nazirus of Tuma, it means that if he was Nitma Liacham Alos, he doesn't have to wait more than 7 days. And then he'll bring his karbanos, he'll complete his Nazirus. Is so too in Tiglachas Tara, if somebody, his Nazirus was Nistar because of Giluach, but not because of Tumah, then if this happens on the day of Siyum HaNazirus, then Sosa Shivas Yomin. So we see that we learn Stira Shebal Yidei Tiglachas from Stira Shebal Yidei Tumah. The Kimlu L'Rabbanon Kol Shiva Yomin Asya Mazya. Every 7-day period is the point in which the hair begins to grow. And how much will it grow within that 7-day period of time? Kidei lochav rosho leikro. Whatever that shear is. So kevan shetzricha Torah lahamtin shivas yomin kishenisgaleach sa'arov legamre. And the Torah requires that he has to wait 7 days from the time of Giluach Sa'aro. So then we understand that the shear that's required in order that the Nazir could be Mekayim is Giluach, here we have a chashivas of a seir. And therefore, the ofen shenisha bo seir shel shivas yamin yochel lekayim bo mitzvahs tiglachas miyad. The eino soser klal. And that's how we'll reconcile the words of the Brisa. Nazir shekilchu listim v'shia robo kidei lochav l'rosho v'leikro eino soser. And that we saw also according to Rabbi Eliezer, who holds that if Nistra and Nazirus after the Malos, there's no need to wait for 30 days. Now the Mishnah concludes with Nazir shegilach bein bitar bein bezug o shesifseif kolshu chayev. Ton Rabbanon tar. The pasuk says tar lo yala yavar al rosho. Ein li ela ta'ar. Since the Torah prohibits tar lo yavar al rosho, we should limit it to dafka, prohibiting cutting his hair off with a razor. But tolash, if he rips his hair out omerat, or he uses these kind of depilatory drugs that he puts on his head, and it literally burns off his hair, or sifsafe, he pulls out his hair manually, kolshu. Is minayin. How do we know this is also prohibited for a Nazir to rip out his hair? Talmud Lomar, because the pasuk says, "Kadosh yeh gadel pera sa'ar rosho." It's mashma that he has to grow his hair; he can't remove it in any way. And if he would be megaleach, then he violates an essay of Kadosh yeh gadel pera. And that's Divrei Rabbi Yoshia. Rabbi Yonasan Omer Tar Ein Li Ela Tar Meirite Tolash was Sifsal Kolshu Sifsafe Kolshu Patur. So Rabbi Yonasan is disagreeing with Rabbi Yoshia, because Rabbi Yoshia derived from the pasuk Kadosh yeh gadel pera sa'ar rosho that he should grow his hair, and if he cuts his hair, he violates an essay. Divrei Rabbi Yoshia. And Rabbi Yonasan says, no. It's got to be tar. So the Gemara asks on Rabbi Yonasan, V'al Kadosh yeh. And it doesn't matter what he uses to cut his hair, whether it's a scissors or a razor or whatever it might be. He's not megadol pera. So the Gemara answers that when it says Kadosh yeh gadol pera, it doesn't mean kidei lesar giluach b'shar dvarim, as Rav Oshia would understand it, but rather lememra dim gilach le bitar koyim ale the essay ubelos haseh. If he uses a razor, then he violates both a los haseh and an essay. So it's not just gadel pera, that's an essay. So the pasuk is not coming to limit the Isur to tar, but if he's megalech b'shar dvarim, ain't over klal. Tanya idach, we have another brisa. Ein li ela tar, tolash omerdo sifseif kolshu minayin, Talmud loma lo yaval rosha. Mashma that nothing should be used on his head to cut his hair and make him bald. Okay, so we have this other brisa, and this brisa is going to use a ribui of lo yavar al rosho to include all the methods of cutting his hair in this law. And the Brisa asks, "Umi achar shesofenu lerabos." We're going to expand the application of this isur of lo yavar al rosho is called davar right, that any kind of instrument or method he uses to remove his hair, matal midlomer tar lo yavar al rosho. Why did the Torah confuse us by using the word tar? It could have just said lo yavar ser rosho, lo yavar sar rosho. And the Gemara answers lefi she lo lamadnu litiglachas achrona. If it didn't say the word tar, we would not derive the chiyuv of tiglachas after the melos of his Nazir's passes. In which case, at which time he has to shave off all the head of his hair, sheyeh betar. We didn't hear that it has to be done through a tar. So mitoch shepirish hakos of tar, with regard to Isa Giluach, during his Nazir's, the Torah went out of its way to use the word tar. So what exactly is this? You have a translation here for Tiglachas Achroni Sheyeh Betar.
Achrona Sheyeh Betar.
Yeah.
Okay. The Abraita answers it is because we have not learned the last shaving, i.e., the Nazarite's shaving of ritual purity, must be performed specifically with a razor.
We have not learned, he said.
Yeah, it must be. We have not learned that.
Was it double negative?
It is because we have not learned that the last shaving must be performed specifically with a razor.
Oh, okay.
As the verse merely states, he shall shave his head. It's in Dvarim, Sefer Bamidbar, without specifying an implement.
So whoever takes off his hair, he gets malchus for, not just tear.
Yes.
And we're going to assume that that's referring to the mitzvah of Giluach at the end of his Nazirus. When it says tar, that's when he needs a tar. But as far as the lav, of violating the lav for cutting off his hair, that applies not only in a tear, but also in any instrument that successfully could be used to cut off his hair. And the Gemara says that why do we need a limud to teach me that the last tiglachas should be done with a tar? Is the lamdo mitzora? Why can't we just derive from mitzora that a mitzora who's megaleh kol sara b'yom taroso, it's got to be betar? Efshar. What is the efshar here on Daf Mem? The efshar she'ein donin kal michomer lahachmer olav. All right, this we could do at another time. Okay, then. So let me take this opportunity to wish you a Shabbat Shalom.
And Shabbat Shalom, Rav. All the best.
And if I don't speak to you, have a Freilich Purim.
All the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.